So, Hakadosh, good evening. Today's shiur Lilun Nishmat David Bar Yitzchak Ben Leah Shenishmatot Tzor B'Tzor Chaim. Amen. I wanted to share with you an incredible idea on Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and Moshe Rabbenu. If you remember, we were speaking about the entire concept. We were also going through Daf Yomi, which was very mina shamayim, because these last 2-3 dapim had to do with everything with Rabbi Lazar Rabbi Shimon, right, which is going to be the son of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and the connection between them. And by the way, we also spoke about Rabbenu Hakadosh, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. If you remember, it was also the same time. Ribi, the son of Rabbi, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, we said, was a nitzotz of... No. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. Yeah, Ben Gerim. No, but who was Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi? We mentioned it. Yaakov Avinu. How do we know that? If you remember, we brought down at the end of Kiddushin, the end of Ketubot. The end of Ketubot said that Rabbenu Hakadosh, right, when he passed away, he didn't actually pass away. Just like Yaakov Avinu lo met, Rabbenu Hakadosh didn't pass away. He used to come to his house every single Friday night to do Kiddush, until finally the neighbor came and said, "You're going to be Motzi Laz and all the other Metim." Then he went away. But he never actually passed away. You have more than that also. What is Rabbenu Hakadosh called? Hakadosh. Who's the semel of Kiddusha? Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu was the Kadosh. Even more than that, right? When we're talking about the entire concept of, right, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, Hanasi, Nasi is Nishmato Shel Yaakov Avinu. Nun, Shin, Sin, but it's Shin. Yod Aleph Nishmato Shel Yaakov Avinu, which means Rabbi Yehuda Nasi and Rabbenu Hakadosh. Rabbenu Hakadosh was a nitzos. Yaakov Avinu was a semel of Torah. Rabbenu Hakadosh is a semel of all of the Mishnah. We're going to now speak about tonight. That was during Daf Yomi that we were learning the last few days. If you remember, we made the connection between Yaakov Avinu and Rabbenu Hakadosh. Now we spoke about a lot about Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Right, that was also the greatness of Rabbi Eliezer, which was a son, and how he went into the cave. We're going to speak about that Daf Yomi as well. And now what we're going to do is, we're first going to go through the song. Listen carefully. Bar Yochai nimshachta ashrecha shemen saso mechaverecha. So we're talking about here the son of Yochai, that you're fortunate, you've been anointed with oil of joy. Shemen saso mechaverecha. Fine. Now he says over here, more so than your associates. Okay. There's an incredible shiur, by the way, connecting the Shemen Mishcha, which is the oil, and Mishcha is Simcha, which are the same letters, which have to also, they're connected, but fine. But this is where we're going to basically start. And it goes, and it says like this. It says we're going to start with, right, Bar Yochai, Moshav Tov Yashavta Yom Nasta, Yom Asher Barachta Bimarat, Surim She'amata Sham Kanita Odecha Vadarecha. What are we talking about here? We're talking about Moshav Tov Yashavta. You settled, right? Moshav. What's a Moshav? You're in Israel today. Currently, what's a Moshav? Moshav is smaller than a kibbutz, no? Smaller than a kibbutz. Smaller than a kibbutz. Small.
Moshavim are very big.
Okay, fine. Right? Okay. It's a different thing, but it's a Moshav. Moshav Tov Yashavta, right? Yom Nasta, the day that you escaped, right? Vayanos, right? Yom Asher Barachta, that you fled. Bim'arat Surim Shamata, again in the Me'ara, that you were in the rocky caves. Sham Kanita, there you acquired Hodecha V'Adarecha, the glory and splendor. Right? Now, we have to actually understand, is that really Be'emet Moshav Tov Yashavta? If somebody's going to tell me, by the way, you should know, I went and I had an incredible, I was able to dwell, I lived. Where did you live? You're going to say Miami, you're going to say New York, it's in some cave. Right? That's Moshav Tov Yashavta. Yeah, that's what it is. Moshav Tov Yashavta. But then there's another one also in the same thing, and it says, right, as follows. He says, listen to this. Bar Yochai veliste tapuchim alita. You went to the field of apples. Alita, you went up, you arose. Lilkopo merkachim, to take beautiful, we're going to say here, aromatic delicacies. Beautiful merkachim is like the besamim. Sod Torah, the secrets of the Torah, ketzimu frachim, like blossoms and flowers. Naaseh adam ne'emar ba'avurecha. That is, you're made as a human being. So therefore, these are just different things that we're going to try to understand in the song of Bar Yochai. Why? There's going to be 4 different questions on what we just read. 4 questions. Question number 1, what does it mean? Naaseh adam ba'avurecha. Naaseh Adam Bavurecha means mankind was made. We're going to make mankind because of you, which means all of mankind has to do with the concept of Rabbi Shimon or Yochai. Was he so special more than any other mankind? What does that mean? Naaseh Adam Bavurecha. Question number 1. Question number 2. What is the entire concept of Liste Tapuchim Alita? What is the tapuchim? What do the apples have to do with anything else? Right? And Moshav Tov Yoshavta, we already asked the question. Right? And the other one he says, right? Bim'at tsurim she'amata. And we said Moshav Tov Yashavta. So 1 second, was it Amata or Yashavta? Is it that you're Omed or Yoshev? What's the concept right behind it? So when we're going to speak about the concept, even nowadays we have a concept of Yeshiva. Yeah? What is Yeshiva exactly? Nowadays, I'm going to Yeshiva. What's Yeshiva?
Center of learning.
Center of learning. What do you say? To sit down. Sit down. So you agree it's sitting down, or is it a center of learning?
No, sit down.
Sit down.
Learning, sit down.
So you learn, you sit down. Everyone agrees.
Sit down.
Yeah? Listen to the Gemara in Mesechet Yomah. Gemara in Mesechet Yomah says, "Mimimehem shel avotenu lo parsha yeshiva mehem." Everybody had yeshiva. Who had yeshiva? Avraham Avinu Zaken, Yoshev Yeshiva. Yitzchak Avinu Zaken, Yoshev Yeshiva. Yaakov Avinu Zaken, Yoshev Yeshiva. So don't think the yeshiva started only with Reb Chaim Volozhin. Reb Chaim Volozhin, it's true, he was the head of the new yeshivot. That was a group of people, right? A big group of people. But really, Be'emet, you're right. But that's what they say, that the Aviyah Yeshivot was Reb Chaim Volozhin. You should know that Reb Chaim Volozhin, when he came the first time to the Gaon Vilna to ask his rabbi, should I open the yeshiva? He told him no. It was only the second time around that he came and he said, open now. So he said, Rabbi, what's the difference? He said, the first time you came with such an excitement, he says, I wasn't sure it was 100% lishma. So I had to make sure it was 100% good. And now he said, now you could open up the yeshiva. But that was Reb Chaim Volozhin. But really, Be'emet, they all had yeshivot. So now maybe you're going to say, right, like Senor Belechsen, it was sitting. Did they used to sit or stand when they were learning?
I understand that.
Huh? They used to sit?
When you learn it?
Yes.
No?
So listen to this. The Gemara says, right, this is the end of Mesechet Sotah. Mishemet Rabban Gamliel Azaken. Yeah? Mishemet, listen. Mishemet Rabban Gamliel Azaken batel kevod haTorah. When Rabban Gamliel Azaken passed away, there's no more kevod haTorah. What was the kevod haTorah? Right? What was the kevod haTorah? Rashi says, Gemara Mesechet Megillah Kaf Aleph, אמר שעד שמת הוא היה בריאות בעולם ולא היו למדים תורה אלא מעומד. They only learned Torah standing. By the way, you should know, because of the concept of having the Torah standing, there's a famous Bach in Ilchot Kriyat Torah. I don't know if you've ever been by Ashkenazim, right? But Achenu, what they do is a lot of them, they stand during Kriyat Torah, especially when you go to yeshivot. If it's a regular, right, Morox or whatever, maybe not, but the yeshivot, any Ashkenazim, they stand for Kriyat Torah. Why do they stand for Kriyat Torah? There's a Bach. The Mishnah Berurah brings down the Bach. It's also the Marami. Right? Listen carefully. Yeah, he's Ashkenazi. And he comes from Yeshiva. He's from Toronto, by the way. Yeah. So he's not only my shachen here. He's my shachen also there. No, but he lives down south. איזה רוסי?
המבוגר, שבא לפה לפעמים.
הגבוה.
זה שבא בנץ, ביום שבת.
Yeah, he's Zolti. He's Ashkenazi. He's Zolti. He's Zolti. Ashkenazi from Toronto. 100%. So listen, his children went to Ner Israel. They went to my yeshiva. Same thing.
בן של וויטה, לא? נר ישראל.
Toronto. Yeah. So listen carefully. What happens is Ashkenazim, the Bach, he comes and he says, right, as follows. Yeah, he comes and he says like this. The Bach says, just like by Matan Torah, the Torah was given standing, every single time we have Kriyat Torah, it's like Matan Torah. And therefore you stand when you have Matan Torah. We sit based upon the Arizal HaKadosh. The Arizal HaKadosh was not makpid to stand. And therefore if Rabbenu Arizal HaKadosh would not stand, and I'll pick Kabbalah, everything, so then we don't have to be greater than the Arizal HaKadosh. We could also sit. However, though, it does give us a glimpse in the way of looking what is Kriyat Torah. Every single time you come and you hear Kriyat Torah, it's like you're receiving it Misinai. When you're receiving it Misinai, just like you were Ba'amidah, we were standing. They were standing. trepidation. So too, the same thing, the same exact way. So what happened was, Rabbi Gamliel Azaken, they used to stand all the time when they were learning Torah. I had a very good friend, he was my chavruta. His brother is actually Yossi Beilis. Right? What? No, not from Canada. From France. Yossi Beilis, the cantor, singer. So his brother was my chavruta in Gibraltar. He was the Rosh Chabura. And he told me that his father, right, until the end of his life, always learned standing up. Now, he actually converted with a stipler. Stipler was his sandak, and he actually was converted by the stipler. Just to understand, right, what we're talking about somebody with mamash, like a get it tzedek, he always stood when learning Torah. That was the kavod of the Torah. So now, you're not going to tell me that yeshiva means because you're sitting. Because if you're going to tell me sitting, it's not true. They never learned sitting down. They always learned standing up. They didn't learn sitting down, they learned standing up. So it cannot be that yeshiva was called yeshiva because they meant you yoshvim. End of hakazeh. It cannot be. Okay, fine. So obviously, right, there has to be something else, especially when you say zaken v'yoshev yeshiva, and we're talking about that they were elderly and still they're yoshev yeshiva. Yeah? So obviously there has to be something here. So there's a beautiful Zohar HaKadosh. We're going to start, because we're going to get back to the yeshiva in a few minutes. First, we're going to bring the Zohar HaKadosh. The Zohar HaKadosh comes and it says, Na'aseh Adam. The Nefesh Chaim brings this down, and it's also going to be brought down in Rav Elchanan Wasserman. Listen to this yesod, something incredible. What is Na'aseh Adam? What is Na'aseh Adam? Who's I? Is it I? How do you say in French, we? Nous. N-O-U-S. Not je, not I. We. Na'aseh Adam. What do you mean Na'aseh Adam? Hakadosh Baruch Hu saying Na'aseh Adam? Who's making the person?
Him.
Who's him? Hashem. So why do you say we? Huh? The Malachim are making the human being?
Well, Pshita, who is the partner for a baby? Three, no? That's to begin with.
So you're saying what?
No, I'm not saying, to begin with, okay.
Who's the partner for Adam and Ishon then?
Okay, that's a good question.
What does Rashi say, first of all? What does Rashi say? Forget about everything else. What does Rashi say? Na'aseh Adam. What does Rashi say?
Adam comes from Adama. No?
For sure he comes from Adama. 100%.
Na'aseh Hashem
With the ground. First of all, what does Rashi say? You're getting somewhere. Steve, you're getting somewhere, but one second. What does Rashi say? Na'aseh Adam mikan pitchon pe laminim. What does that mean, pitchon pe laminim? Hakadosh Baruch Hu wanted that the heretics have something what to say. Hakadosh Baruch Hu was showing us his anava. What was his anava? That he was sho'el b'ktanim. Meaning Hakadosh Baruch Hu, you think he needs to ask our advice? Or to ask advice from his entourage? He asked advice from Pamalia Shelmala. He asked the Malachim, should we make a human being? Na'aseh Adam b'tzalmenu kidmutenu. So that's what Rashi says. The anava of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but it wasn't, he actually asked them. But it gave a pitchon pe laminim, because now the heretics are going to say, there's more than one God. Why? It doesn't say, I will e'eseh Adam. It says, na'aseh Adam. That's Rashi. What does the Zohar HaKadosh say? Listen to the Zohar HaKadosh. Zohar HaKadosh, and the Rav Elchanan Wasserman brings this down in Kobetz Mamarim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was speaking to the entire Beriah, the entire creation. And he said to the entire creation, we are going to make a human being. How do we make a human being? You know how? Every single one of us has different characteristics, tchunot. We are going to put them in a human being. And therefore, the Ari, right, the lion, has certain characteristics. We're going to put it in Adam and Ishon. The shor has certain, the domesticated animal has certain, we're going to put it in the human being. The Adama has certain characteristics. We're going to put it in the human being. The entire Bria Kula participated, injecting into Adam and Ishon, and therefore we have part of everybody. We have part of everything. And that's why we are called an Olam Katan. Olam Katan, but the entire world is inside the human being. There's a beautiful Rabbenu Bachai, by the way, you should see, right? That he actually compares, he says it many times in Chuvot HaLevot. There's another sefer called Shvilei Emunah of the Talmid of the Rosh, that also the same thing, that he comes and he actually brings down the entire concept of an Olam Katan, and he actually explains the mountains, so the nose is referring to the mountains, because it's sticking out. Each thing, mamash, the eyes, you have the eyes, you have the galgal, the big one and the small one, which is basically the sun and the moon. Everything about how everything in the world is in the human being. Everything is there, and you actually have it. Fine. according to this now,
It's like the
right?
artificial intelligence.
100%. Everything is artificial intelligence nowadays.
You ask the
They had it.
people, they are building something, and they ask.
Human beings
ask
to put
your-
it inside.
you ask your question.
100%. 100%. So therefore, it comes out that all the kochot are inside the human being. Why was it like that? In order to actually do this, that the tachlit, the purpose of a human being, is to bring out all our kochot, all these kochot that are inside. So I've got, that's why Maran brings down, right, Yitgaber Ka'ari, we're just doing Bikim Halacha, right? What do we bring down afterwards? Yudam and Omer, Heve'az Kanam. What does he say about the leopard and the this? Well, why do you bring down the animals? I'm not an animal. I'm not a lion. The answer is, you have a lion in you, right? And you have a leopard in you, and you have every single part of the creation is in you. Serve your creator with those tchunot. Serve your creator with that part of inside of you. Serve it to him. So now it comes out, when it says Naaseh Adam, right? Ne'emar Bavurecha, now it actually comes out that Rashbi came and he was minatzel all his kochot in order to become Naaseh Adam. Meaning, when we come and we say Naaseh Adam, that's Hakadosh Baruch Hu said, Naaseh Adam, or should we make a human being? What was the concept of making a human being? To coming and taking all of our tchunot, all of our properties, and using them only for Hakadosh Baruch Hu, not for anything else. Now, how do we know that Rashbi did that? Rashbi Bemet, he actually took his shlemut, like he was like Adam and Ishon before the Chet. And that's why the Gaon Mikutna comes and he says something incredible. Do you know there's a minhag, and people speak about it, in Eretz Yisrael, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's a minhag that people will come and they make bonfires. Yeah? Okay, fine. Even here, they make bonfires. But do you know what you do on the bonfire? So some people will tell you marshmallows. Yeah, take marshmallows. You know what some people do? They take clothing and they throw it into the bonfire. Everyone heard of this? No?
יש מנהג כזה.
Yes. There's a minhag to take clothing.
כובעים,
No. Yeah? They take clothing and throw it inside. Now, everyone speaks about it. One second. What? Bal tashchit. You're destroying clothes. What are you doing? Says the Gaon Mikutna, he comes and he says, you know where that minhag comes from? That minhag was coming from the fact that Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai reached such a level, like Adam Arishon Kodem Achet. What was Kodem Achet? They didn't need clothing. So therefore the concept was that they took the clothing and they threw it into the fire to show what a great level that Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai actually came. More than that, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai in the cave, what happened?
No clothing.
He didn't have clothing. Why didn't he have the clothing?
האדמה הוא היה.
He was in the sand. Why? Because the clothing would have withered in the sand. So therefore he used to take off the clothing, go inside the sand, and stay there the entire time. And that's why the body was full of the boils. That Rabbi Chaspen ate his son-in-law when he came and he was crying and he saw it, and it came down, it started burning him. Why? Because it was straight on the cloth, it was straight on the skin. He didn't have the clothing. So it all makes sense to the concept that he was like Adam and Ishon, Kodem Achet. Now we understand the Daf Yomi that we just learned. What do we learn in Daf Yomi? Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon, how many years was he upstairs in the attic?
15.
More. In the attic, not in the cave. You're talking about the cave.
Between 18 and 22.
Very good. Between 18 and 22. Finally, what happened? Afterwards, they come and they take him out. When did they take him out? When did they take him out? When did they take out Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon? Hi, what? Daf Yomi. When did they take him out of the attic? What day of the year? What day of the year? Who's doing Daf Yomi here? Huh? No? Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Shimon was hidden in the attic. You remember? No. And when they came to Bedin, they used to come and scream out. And he used to say, you're Zakai, you're Chayav.
Yeah.
What day did they wanted to take him out? They wanted to bury him. At the end, what happened? Right? They didn't let them bury him. Why? All the bracha was there in the city. They didn't want to let him bury. When did they take him out of the city?
No, 33 days after the Omer.
No? Erev Kippur. Erev Kippur, everybody was busy. And since everybody was busy Erev Kippur, they sent in the Biryonim, and the Biryonim took out Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Shimon. Where did they go? They went to the cave. And what was waiting by the cave? What was waiting by the cave?
Lion.
No, not a lion, but you're close.
Nachash.
Nachash. A snake.
Very true.
What was the snake doing by this cave? What happened by the cave? He comes, the Nachash is there. What do they tell the Nachash?
What makes them open your mouth? Make some room.
Open your mouth and what? To let in the sun. So he could go in. He came in. Why do you have a Nachash there? The Marsha. Listen to this Marsha. Marsha comes and it says, why was there a Nachash on the cave of Rashbi? To give us the hint that he didn't die only because of the Etiyov Nachash and not because of his sins. You remember the Gemara Batra in the end of the first parak says that there were a few people that they died Betiyov Shel Nachash. And Yaakov Avinu, by the way, was one of them. What does that mean? Few people they died only because there was a decree of the Nachash. That means because of the sin of the Nachash, Hakadmoni, and therefore we have to die. One of them, Binyamin Tzaddik, Binyamin, there was a lot of them over there. Remember that? Okay. Now what happened? Over there it says, a few people they died not because of their sins. They had no sins. 0 sins. Right? Yochai, the father of David HaMelech, there were a few of them there, mentioned in the Gemara. But what was the reason why they died? Only because of Gezerah Shel Nachash. It says Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was the same name. Rashbi died only because of the Etiyot Shel Nachash, not because of anything else. He would complete shlemut to Hakadosh Baruch Hu. And that's why that's Naaseh Adam. Now we come and we say, right, that the Neshama, the Zohar HaKadosh says the Neshama of the Rashbi actually came from Moshe Rabbenu. That's brought down in the Zohar HaKadosh, and we're going to bring that in a few seconds. Now the question is, what does it say there? The Rambam comes, and there's a very interesting Rambam. The Rambam comes and it says in Ilchot Teshuvah, Kol Adam Ra'ui Liot Tzadik Ki Moshe Rabbenu. Everybody could be a tzaddik like Moshe Rabbenu. Everyone agrees? You could be a tzaddik like Moshe Rabbenu.
I am already.
You are. I didn't know. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, especially the anav of Moshe Rabbenu. Moshe Rabbenu was anav mikol adam. Yeah.
That's what.
No, that's your anava. You're able to say it, and you still say just like Moshe Rabbenu was able to write it down, he still said it enough. Yeah. So what happens?
That's what Napoleon said to his soldier.
The what?
Every one of you has in his backpack the scepter of a general.
Exactly, 100%. That's what you have. But listen carefully. So what happened now? Listen like this. Rav Elchanan Wasserman comes and he asks, right? What does that mean exactly? He says, one second, but the Torah says, "Velo kam navi b'Yisrael ki Moshe Rabbenu." There's never going to be a navi like Moshe Rabbenu. But says the rabbis, "Velo kam navi, aval tzaddik." Yes. In Nivuah, you cannot have it. But in Tzidkut, you could have it. But the question that everyone asks is that really true? Can we really become like Moshe Rabbenu? How does that make sense? So the rabbis come and they actually say as follows. Listen to this. There's a beautiful radak on the Nach. Do you know, we come and we say Moshe is called Eved Hashem. Where do we say Moshe Rabbeinu is Eved Hashem? Where do we say that?
הקדוש ברוך הוא אמר.
Where does he say it?
ספר...
Moshe Avdi. Yeah?
מרים וזה.
Exactly. Right? But it's also Naftara of Simchat Torah. The Naftara of Simchat Torah starts Vayi. Yeah? He says, right, we're talking about Mot Moshe Eved Adonai Vayomer Adonai Yoshua Binun Mesharet Moshe Lemor Eved Hashem. Listen to the Radak. The Radak says of Simchat Torah, what exactly is Eved Hashem? Geder Eved is En Kinyan LeEved Belo Rabo. The Eved, he cannot acquire anything. Correct? A slave, Mashe Kana Eved, Kana Rabo. So he says that was Moshe Rabbenu. Why? All his kochot and chushav, v'de'av, everything that he had was kulo Hashem. Was only for Hakadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore this midah is asked upon by every single Jew. Meaning, to be an Eved Hashem, every Jew has to aspire to be that. Every single person with their midot, with their tchunot, with their neshama, 100%. But that is to become like Moshe Rabbeinu. To become a Moshe Rabbeinu, we can't. Even Shmuel, right, which we say Moshe ve'Aaron b'chanav v'Shmuel, he was equal. He wasn't really equal. Shmuel HaNavi is like a Moshe. But in his generation, he's equal. You cannot become a Moshe Rabbeinu. But you could utilize your midot to become a Moshe Rabbeinu. Just like Moshe Rabbeinu had everything that he had, he used for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So too the same thing, every single Jew is supposed to be the exact same way. And that's the kavanah of the Rambam, that every single Jew is supposed to be like that. That's the pshat in the Rambam. When the Rambam says that every single Jew, Kol Adam Ra'ui Liot Tzadik Moshe Rabbeinu, means that you come and you're going to utilize all your midot to become like a Moshe Rabbenu. And that's also brought down in the Rabbenu Yonah. Rabbenu Yonah in Sharet Teshuvah comes and he says, Ki ha'el yitbarach eno mevakesh mibnei adam ki im lefi kocham. Hakadosh Baruch Hu will never ask you something more than what you can be. But he wants you to come and to utilize it. And therefore, as long as you come and you utilize your strength, you will become the best. Now, the Arizal HaKadosh comes and he says, there's a lot of similarities, correlations between Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and Moshe Rabbenu. Yeah? What are the similarities between Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and Moshe Rabbenu? Let me know if you guys remember any of them. Anybody? What are the similarities between Moshe Rabbenu and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai?
עכשיו למדנו, בשבי, שמעון בר יוחאי.
Very good. Right? לקחת מהתורה, what is Shevi? Shimon Bar Yochai. You came and you brought us back, Shimon Bar Yochai. Chazak Baruch. Anything else? Kanan or Panav. Very good. Anything else? That the face was shining. Anything else?
יש לו ניצות שלו, לא?
Yeah, that's what we just said. That was the Zohar HaKadosh. But the Rizal HaKadosh comes and he says there's correlations. I don't know if you ever remembered. Pay attention. When is Lag Baomer?
33.
No, but when is it this year? What day of the week? Motzei Shabbat Sunday.
אז זה יצא מוצאי שבת, מה שהיה...
Zayin and Adar is always the same day as Lag
אז אתה
Baomer.
תדע מתי...
Zayin Be'adar was the day that Moshe Rabbeinu was born and passed away. Always comes out the same day of the week as Lag Baomer. So therefore, Zayin Be'adar was on Sunday. Lag Baomer is Sunday. Always going to have them connection. More than that, fugitive. I just gave you the hint. Anything? Fugitive? No?
מה fugitive?
Fugitive. I gave you the hint. Who's a fugitive? Moshe was a fugitive. He had to run away from who? From Paro. Why? They wanted to kill him.
From the Romans.
Ah, very good. Shimon Yochai from the Romans. Right? More than that. Not only did he have to run away, right? Who was the one that Moshe Rabbenu, he had to run away because he killed someone? Who did he kill? The Egyptian. You remember a few years ago, we gave an incredible shiur, right? That man, right? That Egyptian, how did Moshe Rabbenu kill him? Huh? With the name of Hashem. He killed him with the name of Hashem. What happened because of the name of Hashem? Anybody remembers? He shouldn't have used it. Why? What happened because of that name of Hashem? Do you know that there's going to be something which is called, right, the Conncetions, and the we just had in last week's Parashat Morning. We also have the Mekalel. Do you know that the Mekalel and Conncetions actually happened together? And they didn't put them in the same dungeon because one of them was for sure a mitah and one of them was not. They didn't know what type of mitah. They didn't know, so therefore they didn't put them together. We didn't know what to do. But what was the Mekalel? The Mekalel was Shlomi Badivri. What happened with the Mekalel? What happened with the Mekalel? The what? What happened with him? What happened with the Shlomi? הבן שלה, מה הוא עשה? הוא קילל. מאיפה הוא בא?
שלומית בדברי, נו. מי הבן אדם ההוא? זה שיעשה את הבלגן, אתה חושב...
יפה מאוד. The Mitzri which was killed by Moshe Rabbenu, his son was the Mekalel. What was the Mekalel? What did he kilel?
את שם השם.
The name that Moshe Rabbenu used in order to kill his father. He was Mekalel. Many years later, right, there's going to be somebody that's going to be a nuisance, right, to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Who was the one that was a guy that was always the headaches? Adatav Avidam of Moshe Rabbeinu. How do you call those? An antagonist. I don't know what you call them. He was always the eyesore. Huh? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, who's the bad guys? Who was it? Yehuda ben Gerim. Who was the one that caused Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai to be running after the what's it called? To be run after by the Romans. The Romans were running after him. Why? Yehuda ben Gerim. Is that a weird name? Yehuda ben Gerim. What does that mean? What Yehuda ben Gerim? Says that Oziel Hakadosh, Yehuda ben Gerim was the same nitzots as the Mekalel. The Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is a Moshe Rabbenu. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai had to run away, right? And he had to do 13 years, right, of of in the dungeon, because 12 months of Geinam, as if that he was doing Geinam. So it was a month, right? That's what it was, a month per year. That's what he had to do, a month per year. It was like he was doing Geinam, right, for what happened. And then what happened is that all of a sudden he comes out and he sees Yehuda ben Gerim. What does he do with Yehuda ben Gerim? He kills him.
Kill him.
But how does he kill him? Not with the Shem Hashem. He looked at him and nasa gal shel atzamot. Right? Gal is like Baomer, right? Lamed Gimel. He made him into a gal shel atzamot. He made him into a pile of bones. He was mitaken Moshe Rabbenu, right? In the fact that now he killed him. He did kill the Yehuda ben Gerim. Meaning just like Moshe Rabbenu killed the Mitzri, he comes and he killed the Tikkun, which was basically Yehuda ben Gerim, which was this Mekalel. But he didn't kill him with the Shem Hashem. Now he killed him with his eyes. That's why he didn't use the Shem Hashem. And therefore he actually did the Tikkun for Moshe Rabbenu. But more than that, he comes and he says, right? Also he says, Moshe Rabbenu isig madregot kevuhot benikrat atzur. Nikrat atzur, the Targum says, bim'arat tinara, in the me'ara. Just like Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, he was zochet to all his Torah in the me'ara. You remember once when we spoke on Lag Baomer many years ago, right? This year comes out on Sunday, so it's difficult. But if you remember many years ago, fine, but many years ago when we spoke in Lag Baomer, we went and we said, Lag Baomer is which daf in Shabbat? Sechet Shabbat? Lamed Gimel. Right, that's what always did the daf. Right? But more than that also as well, pay attention to what's actually written. They say, right, what happened exactly, right, because of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai and on Lag Baomer. Do you pay attention, right, that when it's saying about the Me'ara, right, before Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai went into the Me'ara, he was always called Rabbi Shimon. Do we pass him like Rabbi Shimon? No. If you pay attention, the majority, whether it's even in Ilchot Shabbat, Muktzeh, and all these things, we don't pass him like Rabbi Shimon. When he came out of the cave, he became Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. And the halacha is always like Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Meaning, Betor Rabbi Shimon, halacha lo kemoto. It was before he went into the cave. After he already went into the cave, now it became a completely different entity. Now it's Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. The halacha is going to be like Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. So therefore, look how many comparisons we have between Moshe Rabbenu and Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. So now he comes and he says like this: the Avdut, the Eved Hashem between them was the exact same way. Right? Why was the Eved Hashem between them the exact same way? Just like Moshe Rabbenu, everything that he did was he was Eved Hashem, everything to Hakadosh Baruch Hu. So to Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, everything was for Hakadosh Baruch Hu. What does Rashbi say in the Gemara? Right? In Masechet Berachot, right? Are you supposed to work or are you supposed to learn? What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to learn. Right? Why? Because when you're going to come and you're going to learn, right? What's that going to happen? A lot of people, they tried to do like Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, but they weren't able to. Because Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai is a very, very high level. Even though, by the way, you should know on Shabbat, we're supposed to be on the level of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. And that's why on Shabbat, you're not allowed to come and you're not allowed to work or do anything of work. On Shabbat, that's the only day of the week that we get the level of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. I saw a beautiful pshat. I was actually doing a project with my daughter for Shabbat. And listen to this pshat. I'm telling you something incredible. It was brought down, I think it was a Siftei Chaim, Matanat Chaim, one of them, they came and they said something incredible. He says, do you know that it says in the Gemara Masechet Shabbat, anybody that's Mekayem Shabbat, Mekayem Shalosh Seudot B'Shabbat, he's Nitzol Migimel Puraniyot. If you come and you're Mekayem Shalosh Seudot on Shabbat, you're going to be saved from 3 Puraniyot. Right? Medina Shageinam, there's going to be 3 different things you're going to be saved from. Where does it come talk about the concept of Gimel Seudot on Shabbat? You know where it says? The Gemara there says, in Siman Shin Lamed Vav, it's actually brought down in Shulchan Aruch, but it's in Perek Dzileka, that what happens right now if there breaks out a fire in a house. So now, by the way, you should know, right? How much lechem do you take out? Mazon Gimel Seudot. And you take it outside, and you eat it in the Chatzer. But you're not allowed to take it out. Hotza'ah. What does that mean? Nowadays, by the way, you should know, right? I remember we were in Kolel and we spent an entire month doing the entire perek, right, of Shabbat. And then we went to the halacha. So we started learning the Siman Shin Lamed Vav, and we talk about what are you allowed to take out. So you could take out your clothing, but you're allowed to take out what type of food. What are you Gimel Seudot? We learned the entire seif. When we got to the last seif, I think it's Kavav, if I remember correct. All of a sudden we went crazy. We were going to throw tomatoes, I don't know, at the Rosh Kolel. Why? What happened was we learned the entire Siman. And the last seif is basically brought down in the Mordechai that nowadays, since we live in close proximity, it's dangerous. In the olden days, if there was a fire, you had to let it burn down. So you're letting your entire house burn down. And what are you allowed to take out? Only a few things. Why? Adam bahul al mamono. A person is very worried about his money. And therefore, if they let him take out whatever he wants, what's going to happen? He's going to put out the fire. So what happens? You could only take out certain things. You could only take out. It speaks about Kitvei HaKodesh. Are you allowed to take out a Sefer Torah? A whole bunch of... So we learned the entire Siman. All of a sudden comes the last Siv. By the way, nowadays, why? Nowadays, Chas Hashem, there's a fire. Put it out. Because you think what? You think it's just going to burn one thing? It's going to burn everything. And it takes everything with it. But in the olden days, no. So he went and he said, think about it right now. How could it be that a person will come and they have a fire, right, in their house? From one moment to another, they were on a Shir Muflag, he had a big mansion, and now the entire thing is being burned down. And now he's going to become an Ani Marud. What's he allowed to take out? Gimel Seudot. Do you think he wants to eat? Yeah? Do you think a person wants to really eat Shalosh Seudot? You think he even has a mind of eating? He's watching, he's not allowed to put out the fire. So he's watching the fire, and the fire is consuming the entire house.
You mean you're not allowed to...
You're not allowed to take out the fire. It's Isur, Mechabeh.
Okay, no, but...
We won't stone you, because it's Melacha Shenitzcha Legufa. We won't stone you, but it's Isur Doraita. Mechabeh, you're not allowed to.
No, I understand, but...
Not allowed to. Not allowed to. Nowadays, I repeat, nowadays you're allowed to put out the fire because it's dangerous. And once a fire starts, it continues and it goes, and its fire spreads, and everyone lives in close proximity, you're obligated to take out the fire. Right? But in the olden days, since people used to live very separate from each other, the entire house went down, Kaddish, fine, but that's it, it wouldn't spread. It wasn't like a wildfire that went to just continue going. So the question is, how could it be? A person's washing his entire house, go on fire, now you Shalosh Seudot. The answer is, from there we learn that when a person gets to a level on Shabbat, that he's not worried about anything. Hakadosh Baruch Hu is the one that's going to bring the parnasah no matter what. So even if he's losing all his properties, he has to be like Rashbi. What is it, Shimon Yochai? I'm not worried about the parnasah. Hakadosh Baruch Hu takes care of it. If a person's on that level and he's eating Shalosh Seudot, he's going to be nitzol Shalosh Puraniyot. That person is going to be saved from the 3 different Puraniyot, which is Dinah Shel Geinam, Chibut HaKever, Milchemet Gog uMagog, all these things, when a person reaches such a high level. Now when we come back, let's now speak about the tapuach. You remember we started the shiur, we started saying, tapuach, right? We come and we say, tapuchim. What's going on here? Gemara Masechet Shabbat says something very interesting. Ketapuach ba'atzei hayar, we say in Shir HaShirim. Why are we compared to a tapuach? Do you know, it's very important that Jews are compared to a tapuach, and that's why there's a whole concept about eating things, right? Even in Seder Kedimot, you should always take a tapuach more than, let's say, an orange. Because ketapuach, we were compared to a tapuach, so therefore, there's a concept of chaviv, and there's a concept of tapuach, very, very important. Tapuchim, why? We were compared to tapuchim. What's so important about a tapuach? He says, Lama nimshelu Yisrael tapuach, lomar lecha ma tapuach ze piryo kodem le'alav, af Yisrael ikdimu na'aseh v'nishma. Bnei Yisrael, we went and we said na'aseh v'nishma. And the tapuach is piryo kodem le'alav. The pri comes before, the fruit comes before the skins, the alim, the leaves, thank you. The leaves. What exactly is going on? Chazal come and they say in Masechet Chulin, right, that we know that the perot, usually what happens, you have the leaves. The leaves come and they protect. When the leaves come and they protect everything else. They protect the pri. The Gemara Masechet Chulin says, Kol hanivraim ledato nivrau. What does that mean, Kol hanivraim? What does that mean? Everything, they agreed to it. Hakadosh Baruch Hu came to the tapuach and he told the tapuach, you're going to be different from all other perot. You want? He says, okay, what am I going to be different? He says, you're going to be the only pri, the only fruit, that you're going to first have the fruit, and then you're going to have the alim. First like that. Says the tapuach, whatever you want. Why did he do that? Because the tapuach understood, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu made it in such a fashion that there's always going to be the leaves and then the fruit, it's to protect. If he's making me different, he didn't make me to get destroyed. Obviously, he made me to sustain me. So therefore, whatever Hashem wants, I do whatever Hashem wants. Comes the rabbis and they say, now we understand the exact same concept. It is based upon one of the big Roshei Yeshivot that he says, that's the pshat of Na'aseh v'nishma. The pshat of Na'aseh v'nishma was, we don't understand what's written. We don't understand. but naaseh. Afterwards we'll listen. The tapuach was the exact same way. The tapuach says, I don't understand. I don't know. You're going to come. You're going to make me that. I'm not protected. What does that make sense? But Hakadosh Baruch Hu, you want to make me that way, b'chavod. Make me that way. And that's exactly what happened. Therefore, we are compared, right, to the tapuach. Bnei Yisrael are compared to the tapuach. In order to come, and in order to get shlemut, we always have to understand. We have to understand the kochot which are inside of us, that we're able to sprout forth. Listen to this very interesting Gemara. Gemara, we did this in Kiyam Masechta. Masechet Ta'anit of Kaf Aleph Amud Aleph. Tell me if you remember it. Ilfa and Rabbi Yochanan. They were very, very, very poor. So what happened was, they both decided, you know what? We're going to come and we're going to go out to work. What happened? All of a sudden, he heard a malach, he heard a voice, a bat kol. And what did he hear? The bat kol comes and he says, right, one of them is going to become a big Rosh Yeshiva. Yeah, so what happened? Rabbi Yochanan comes and he asks Ilfa.
No, did you hear it?
Did you hear it? No, I didn't hear it.
Okay, you go and stay.
Okay, no, he says, okay, fine. So he went, and Rabbi Yochanan stayed. And once Rabbi Yochanan stayed, that's it. He became the Yeshiva. Ilfa came back. Hey, what's going on? This is what happened. Everyone asks, 1 second, how is that fair? What changed? Rabbi Yochanan was one of the Gdolim. He was poor. That Torah, he comes and he says, I have to go to work. Why? It's already too much. What changed? You know what changed? What changed is that he heard a malach in Hashemayim saying that he's going to become great. He's going to become big. And once he learned that there's so much kochot, hidden powers which are within him, he comes and he says, I have to do it. I have to go out. And that's why they come. There's a beautiful Gemara. Listen to this Gemara. The Gemara Masechet Moed Katan says, who are you supposed to learn from? Ki siftei kohen yishmiru dat. Right? The Torah yivakshu mevakesh mipiu. What does that mean? If right now siftei kohen yishmiru dat, Torah yivakesh mipiu. If the rabbi is compared to a malach Hashem tzevakot, tevakesh Torah mimenu. If not, no. The question is, did you ever see a malach? Anybody here ever see a malach?
Look like.
So he has to look like a malach. Did anybody ever see a malach? Nobody saw a malach. So how do you know if the rabbi is like a malach? They're going to... B'lain hara. So there you go. Kulanu malachim. So he comes and he says, you know what the pshat is? The pshat is that what exactly is the essence of a malach? Yeah, what is the essence of a malach? You know what the essence of a malach is? The essence of a malach is based upon the Midrash Rabbah. The Midrash Rabbah comes and it says, right, you remember the famous story with the shooting the arrows, and it got one pigeon and he kept on hearing, right, that this one is going to be shot down and the other one's not going to be shot down, right? And then what happened? He says, on every single esef, on every single grass, there's a malach that comes and he hits it. And he tells him, grow. Gadel. Grow. He comes and he says, it's not enough just to hit the talmidim. You have to tell him gadel. Grow. Meaning you have to realize how much you have growth within you. If you have a rabbi he'll hit you. He'll give you the makot. But, gadel, you have to grow. Realize how much power you have inside of you. Then you have to learn Torah from him. Because you know that he's teaching you how much strength you have within you. You know you're going to grow. That's exactly what it is. But Yochai, he comes and he says, Rashbi, he went and he said the Kabbalah Torah Pratit of himself was like the Kabbalah Torah Klalit. Meaning, you went up on the Listet Tapuchim, you did Naaseh Lenishma. You went and you understood that you have to come and you have to take the greatest of all your powers. How do we know that Rashbi knew his powers? You know we knew Rashbi knew his powers. How do we know Rashbi knew his powers? We brought this so many times.
I think also he told his kid, hey, don't do that. You have this and these powers. You cannot do this, you cannot do that, you cannot do that.
What did he say exactly? Ra'iti b'nei aliyah v'hen mu'atin. I saw a lot of people that they grow, but there's not a lot of people. He says, but im elefhem, if there's 1,000, ani ubni mehem. It's me and my son. If it's 100, ani ubni. If it's going to be even 2, and if it's only going to be 1, it's going to be me. More than that, the Gemara also says in Masechet Sukkah, right? What does he say? Yachol ani liftor et kol ha'olam midat hadin. I could be protected the entire world from midat hadin. Meaning, never think that the Shimon or Yochai, just like Moshe Rabbenu, don't think that they didn't know their power. They knew their power. But once they know how much power that they possess and how much power a human being has, they're able to come, they're able to go, right? Incredible amounts. There's only one secret to success, though. You know what the secret to success is, though? What?
Humble.
The secret to success is Yeshiva. What is yeshiva now?
Contain.
Right? What is yeshiva? Listen to this. The rabbis come and they say, right? The Gemara actually comes and it says, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, even after Naaseh v'Nishma, what did he do? Kafa lehem har kegigit. Why? Imagine right now, I come and ask you, do you want this? Say yes. Okay, here it is. I pull out a gun. You're going to take it? Well, I just told you yes. Well, you have to pull out the gun. I just told you yes. Naaseh v'Nishma. And now kafa lehem har kegigit. What do you have to do? Kafa kegigit. What's going on exactly? So there's actually going to be a Tanhuma and Tosfot. They come, they ask this question, they answer differently. But this rabbi wants to come and he wants to say an incredible chidush. And he wants to say like this. He says, really, be'emet, Naaseh v'Nishma is what we needed to say, 100%. But the Naaseh v'Nishma doesn't always work. Why? Because right now we're on a spiritual high. So right now we want to become better. Chazak Baruch. What happens tomorrow? I woke up on the left side of the bed. What happens? I'm not going to come to Shachrit. Why? Yesterday today I'm not able to. What happens the next day? I come, okay, I'm going to go. I'm a lion again. The next thing, what happens? I can't go to the chavruta. Why can't I go to the chavruta or the shiur? I got a business deal. I've got something. So what happens? He doesn't have a misgeret. Misgeret means I have something which is going to enclose you to make an obligation. To make an obligation, you need kafal lehem har kegigit. Do we know that Bnei Israel, when we said Naaseh v'Nishma, Chazak Baruch, but we're volunteers. Hakadosh Baruch Hu wanted a relationship. A true relationship is only when we become obliged. Kafal lehem har kegigit. When you come and you get married, what do you have? You have the har kegigit. You have on top of your chuppah. You never realize that. That's a mountain. That's the har kegigit. It's either you say yes, or you're buried alive. Right? That's what it is. That's kafal lehem har kegigit. You already have the har kegigit. Why? Because if not, think about it. You could stay engaged all your life. No. You have to have a bond. The true bond is only you're forced into it. Hakadosh Baruch Hu comes and he did it. Listen to the story that happened during the Holocaust. During the Holocaust, it happened that they were in one of the camps. And the Germans came and they took 100 Jews and they told them, listen, you have this entire metal building. I want you guys to take it apart. Start. You have an hour. They went with 100 people and they weren't able to do it. So what did the Germans do? The Germans came and they killed 25 people.
You want more?
They killed 25 people. Okay. They come and they bring everybody back. And they say, okay, fine. You guys have another hour to finish. How many people are left? 75. Which means they're even less than before. They were able to finish. How are they able to finish? How are they able to finish? How are they able to finish? Again, with 100 people, they weren't able to finish. Now with 75, they were able to finish. Why? The what? הכביד עליהם. Why? Not only the misgeret, because when you see bechush that they were going to die, what happens? They saw death in front of them. So therefore, the other 75 people, they went and they worked kochot that they didn't even know they had. That's what we just learned in Kinyam Masechta. We just did the siyum, right? 2 days ago. What do we say? We just did on Pesach Sheni. What do we say? We said on the 15th, on Tu B'Av, Kalu Metemidbar. What do you mean Kalu Metemidbar? What do you mean Kalu? They finished, no? Was anybody saved from the 600,000? No? Everybody died? All 600,000? The last ones got up. The last 15,000 people, they got up. How did they get up? You remember the Yisod? The exact same Yisod. What do we say? Every single year, when everybody used to go to sleep, every single year, people used to say, it's not me, it's going to be somebody else. Yeah. So therefore, if it's going to be somebody else... They're the last batch. They knew that tomorrow they're waking up, and tomorrow they're dead. So what happened? They came and they prayed so much to Hakadosh Baruch Hu, that now Hakadosh Baruch Hu saved them. Because when they have death facing them, and they know that it's life and death, if every single person says, it could be the other guy, it could be the other... So then, no, don't worry about it. It's the other guy. He doesn't have a... And that's why the Rambam, by the way, says it. Do you know Rav Michael Peretz came and he gave a shiur to us when they were doing Hilchot, they gave them a test on Hilchot and Hilchot Nida. I actually left right beforehand. But he went and he gave them a Dvar Torah. He said, the Rambam says, when you come in against your enemies, right, should you enclose them on 4 sides? We're going into Rafa. Should you enclose them on 4 sides or not? That was the question.
No.
Yeah? No.
למה?
Rambam says no. Why?
למה? כי שלא יחשבו, אם כן, הם יחשבו שאין להם ברירה, הם ימותו, אז הם ימצאו יותר. אם יש להם איפה לברוח...
The Rambam says, if you're going to go against your enemies and you're going to completely enclose them, what's going to happen? for sure they're
They will
going to
give the
fight
fight of their
to the
life.
death.
Yeah.
And they could actually even win. He says, always leave them a petach. If you leave them a petach that they could run away, many times they'll fight, but it won't be the same because they know that they could run. The second they could run, don't worry, you have them. You have them in your hands. And the same thing is with the Yetzer Hara, by the way. Right? You always have to leave a petach. That's why David HaMelech always used to come and say, what did he say? We just learned today also for me. He said, I'm always going to the zoo. I'm always going to... And then what? My feet are always taking me to the Torah. Why? Because
I want to go
I'm
there,
going
but
to the
my
zoo.
legs going there.
Tomorrow I'm going... But it's always taking me to the Torah. Always leave the Satan. Always leave him away. Because if you're going to come 100%, that's why it says, Machshava mu'ele lidivrei Torah. Never come and say, I'm going to do this. The second you come and you're going to do that, the Satan, don't worry about him. He's got a million things, you won't be able to do it. You don't say anything. You come and you do. Don't say. Emor me'at, v'aseh harbe. That's what you're supposed to do it. So he comes and he says, there was also a bachur that he came and he said, there was a bachur that came to Mir. Yeah, I'm almost done. Listen carefully. There was a bachur that came to Mir. And when the bachur came to Mir, right, what happened was that he went and he told, this is a story where Rav Volbe said from Rav Yerucham. What happened was that in Poland, many times they used to take bachurim to get drafted. They weren't always able to get them not drafted. So sometimes bachurim were drafted to the army. So this is a Polish army. So they had to go to the Polish army. When they came back, Rav Yerucham used to ask them 100 millions of questions to find out exactly what went on there. So he went and he asked him, no, what happened? He says, no, we had to get on horses. And so he asked him, but how did you learn how to ride a horse? No, but you don't understand. We had to get on a horse. And we had to all ride on horses. And the horses had to jump over, you know, when they put the things and they do all these obstacles in the middle and they had to jump over and this and that. So Rav Yerucham asked him again. He says, but I don't understand you. Did you ever learn to ride a horse? He says, no. It's very, very simple, Rabbi. He said, Rabbi, what happened is that we all got there and there were men with their guns. And they all said, everyone knows how to ride horses, correct? Because you all have to get on the horse and you're going to ride and you're going to jump over. And if not, we know what happens. He said, ever since then, we all knew how to ride horses. What does that mean? When you're forced into something, right? And that's a mizgeret, that's it. So he comes, the rabbis come and they say, that's a Tiferet Yisrael when it says, shokod l'lmod Torah, right? Exactly. Mizgeret. What does that mean, mizgeret? Right? You have to have a structure. What is a structure? The yeshiva. Why? When you have ben asdarim, you have a yeshiva. What is yeshiva? Yeshiva means that you sit down, not yeshiva that you're sitting down. You have something kavua, fixed. Right? And that's why David HaMelech alav shalom, how did he start Tehillim? He came and he started Asher Ish Asher Lo Halach, right? V'aderech Hashem Lo Amad, U'nshav Lezekinim Lo Yashav. He started with Holech, Omed Lashevet. What does that mean? You start, you're always starting with Halicha. Then all of a sudden you're walking by, you see, the next time already you don't walk by anymore. You walk by and you stop. And you stand and you're watching. The next time you're not only just coming and walking by, and not only that, you even sit down. You become a part of them. And that's why David HaMelech said, I didn't do none of those. Right? Not only that, nothing. I didn't. Because he knew that if you start Holech, you're going to be Omed. You're going to be Omed, you're going to be Yoshev. That's the way it is. Because you become fixed. Once you become fixed, there's nothing what to do. So the rabbis come and they say, that's the entire concept of what it is Sidrei Yeshiva. Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, he always used to say, right, that when a person, what saved him is that there's always things what to do. But he always had ben asdarim. What does that mean? If you have a zman, and you know that during my time, this hour, nothing. This is what I have to learn. Nothing else is going to bother me. During this hour to this hour, there's nothing that's going to happen. So what happens? Everything else, he's able to push off to another hour. He's always able to succeed. Now we understand also, Moshav Tov Yashavta Bimarat Tzurim Shamata. What does that mean? It says, Moshav Tov Yashavta, you actually sat. What does it mean sat? Not sitting. You were fixed in the me'ara. You were fixed. The me'ara for Shimon Bar Yochai, that was his yeshiva. He was able to completely take himself out of everything else that happened in the world, and here I am in the yeshiva. Here I am. I'm Moshav Tov Yashavta. It's a yeshiva, and that's going to be good. Even though Tzurim Shebe'amata, he says, even though they're coming and they're going to be standing over there, it doesn't matter. But you need the kavod Torah was always going to be standing up. So there's nothing to do with standing and sitting. It's fixed. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was coming and teaching us, Bnei Aliyah, you have to be fixed. Why? Because to be a true Bnei Aliyah, right? How are you a Bnei Aliyah? If a person goes up and down, is he a Bnei Aliyah? He's never a Bnei Aliyah. Why? He just went up, but then he goes down. He goes up, he goes down. He went up even twice, he goes down twice. Right? He continued going. Bnei Aliyah means you're constantly going up. You're constantly malachim. You're always going up. You're not stationary. You're not status quo. And that's exactly what a person has to be. To be Shimon Bar Yochai, just to sum up the shiur one more time. To be Shimon Bar Yochai, which he was again a nitzotz of Moshe Rabbenu, was coming to teach us. So first of all, we have to come and we have to utilize all our strengths and put everything that we have towards Hakadosh Baruch Hu to be an Eved Hashem. Just like Moshe Rabbenu was, so too Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was. And that's why Shimon Bar Yochai died, only because Bet Yosha Nachash. He was on the level of Dam Rishon Kodem Achet. That's why, again, without the clothing, we burn the clothing on like Baomer, or again, there was a minhag, right? We came and we said the entire concept of the tapuach, Naaseh v'nishma. What is Naaseh v'nishma? Just like the tapuach created itself, it was happy to be created, even though it's not going to have a shomer. Hakadosh, I said, I leave everything to Hashem. Hashem is the one in charge. But we also mentioned all the importance of what it is of being a yeshiva. Yeshiva means fixed. Nowadays, obviously, we don't have the zechut of being still in yeshiva, but we have a yeshiva. Here's a yeshiva. Yeshiva, you come here, you learn, you have fixed, you have shiurim, you have tefillot, everything's fixed. Why? Because once you have something fixed, you're able to continue growing. And Bnei Aliyah is only if you're going to grow, you're going to be fixed in what you do. If you're not going to be fixed in what you do, this morning I'm going to come at 6 in the morning. Tomorrow morning I'm going to come at 10 in the morning. The next day I'm going to come at 7 in the morning. You're never going to grow because it's not fixed. Being ikvi, ikviut, sefirat ha'omer, temimim, every single day, growth, one day, after another day, after another day, after another day, that's the only true growth that a Jew has to have.